The town of Ravenwood was a quiet, picturesque village nestled between dense forests and rolling hills. It was a place where everyone knew each other, and life moved at a slow, peaceful pace. But beneath its serene surface, Ravenwood held a dark secret, a legend that had haunted the town for over a century. They called it the Phantom of Ravenwood. Detective Eleanor Hart had heard the stories, but she didn't believe in ghosts. She was a practical woman, with a sharp mind and a knack for solving even the most puzzling cases. When she received a letter from the mayor of Ravenwood, pleading for her help, she couldn't resist the challenge. The letter read, "Dear Detective Hart, our town is in turmoil. The phantom has returned, and we fear for our lives. Please, come quickly." Eleanor packed her bags and arrived in Ravenwood the next day. The town was eerily quiet, and the streets were empty. The only sound was the distant cawing of crows. She made her way to the mayor's office, where she was greeted by a nervous man with a pale face and trembling hands. "Thank you for coming, Detective Hart," the mayor said, his voice shaking. "The phantom has been terrorizing us for weeks. Strange noises in the night, shadowy figures in the woods, and now, people have started to disappear." Eleanor raised an eyebrow. "Disappear? Who?" The first was old Mr. Grayson, the town's historian. "He vanished 3 days ago. Then, last night, young Sarah Miller went missing. She was last seen near the old Ravenwood Manor." Eleanor's interest was piqued. "Ravenwood Manor? Tell me about it." The mayor hesitated. "It's an abandoned mansion on the edge of town. It's been empty for over 100 years, ever since the last of the Ravenwood family died. People say it's cursed. No one goes near it." Eleanor nodded. "I'll start there. If the phantom is real, that's where I'll find him." As the sun began to set, Eleanor made her way to Ravenwood Manor. The mansion was a crumbling Gothic structure with broken windows and ivy-covered walls. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the wind whispered through the trees like a mournful sigh. She pushed open the creaking gate and stepped inside. The interior was dark and dusty, with cobwebs hanging from the ceiling. She lit a lantern and began to search the rooms, looking for any clues. In the library, she found a stack of old newspapers, yellowed with age. The headlines spoke of a series of murders that had taken place in Ravenwood a century ago. The victims had all been members of the Ravenwood family, and the killer had never been caught. Eleanor's eyes narrowed. "The phantom," she muttered. "But why now? Why after all these years?" As she continued her search, she heard a faint noise coming from the basement. She followed the sound, her heart pounding in her chest. The basement was dark and damp, with a narrow staircase leading down into the shadows. At the bottom of the stairs, she found a hidden door, partially concealed behind a stack of old crates. She pushed the door open and stepped inside. The room was small and dimly lit, with a single candle burning on a table. In the corner, she saw a figure, hunched over and cloaked in darkness. "Who are you?" Eleanor demanded, her hand on her revolver. The figure turned slowly, revealing a pale, gaunt face with hollow eyes. It was a man, dressed in tattered clothes that looked like they belonged to another era. "I am the last of the Ravenwoods," the man said, his voice a hoarse whisper. "I have been hiding here, waiting for the right moment to reveal the truth." Eleanor frowned. "What truth?" The man stepped closer, his eyes filled with sorrow. "The murders. They were not the work of a phantom. They were committed by my ancestors to protect a terrible secret. A secret that has haunted this town for generations." Eleanor's mind raced. What secret? The man hesitated, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a small leather-bound book. He handed it to Eleanor. "This diary belonged to my great-grandfather. It contains the truth about what happened here. But be warned, Detective Hart, some secrets are better left buried." Eleanor took the diary and began to read. The pages were filled with accounts of greed, betrayal, and murder. The Ravenwood family had been involved in a conspiracy to steal land and wealth from the townspeople, and they had killed anyone who tried to expose them. As she read, the man began to fade, his form dissolving into the shadows. "The phantom was never real," he said, his voice echoing in the darkness. "It was a story, created to hide the sins of the past. But now, the truth must be told." Eleanor looked up, but the man was gone. She was alone in the basement, holding the diary in her hands. The next morning, Eleanor returned to the town and presented the diary to the mayor. The truth about the Ravenwood family's crimes was revealed, and the disappearances were solved. Mr. Grayson and Sarah Miller were found alive, hidden in the mansion by a descendant of the Ravenwoods who had hoped to keep the secret buried. As for the phantom, it was never seen again. The legend of Ravenwood Manor faded into history, and the town began to heal. But as Eleanor left Ravenwood, she couldn't shake the feeling that some secrets were never truly laid to rest. The shadows of the past still lingered, waiting for the right moment to return.